Hello and welcome to Motors for the Masses. Now, Voge, a well-established brand, especially with the big adventure bikes, as well as their smaller and mid-range capacity bikes. Well, today we have another big adventure bike from Voge, this time in the form of this, the DS800X Rally. And we'll be seeing what it's like in comparison to this, the DS900X. So let's roll the intro and get cracking. Well, you may already be asking yourself, why do we need an 800 or 798cc when we already have the 900 or 895cc? Well, the 900 is £1,200 more than the 800, but it does have a bit more power. And the 800 seems more heavy duty with better crash bars, a belly pan and a different exhaust layout and some equipment differences which we'll go through in a little while. And the 800 seems geared more towards being a dual sports bike rather than a tourer adventure that the 900 is. So at this point I will put up spec sheets of the 800 and 900 so you can see how they compare on paper. And then later I'll take them both out back to back and see how they compare on the road. With both bikes having two different design engines, both are 8-valve double overhead cam parallel twins with a 270-degree crank, but as you can see, the 800 is just 1 horsepower less, but 10 pounds-foot of torque less. Both have 6-speed boxes with slipper clutch, although the 900 comes with up and down quick shift, and the 800 doesn't. The 800 has a heated seat and heated grips, as does the 900, but the 900 comes with cruise control, because it's a fly-by-wire throttle, whereas the 800 is a traditional cable throttle. That means the 900 has 4 different ride modes and the 800 doesn't. The 900 is also keyless, whereas the 800 uses a normal key, but it does have a steering dampener. Both bikes use Pirelli Scorpion tyres, but the 900 uses Trail 2s and the 800 uses Rally STRs. Although both have multi-spoke wheels, the 900 has a 21-inch front wheel and a 17-inch rear, whereas the 800 has a 21-inch front wheel and an 18-inch rear. Both have a 90 front tyre and a 150 on the back. The 900 has a front-mounted dash cam, as does the 800, but that is behind the screen, and I can't help wondering if that gets dirty really quickly, how easy it is to clean that. And it's got that tab on there which is going to mess up the camera view, so that needs to be taken off. However, that is a nice feature for both bikes to have. Both bikes also have the front mounted fog lights and the engine bars, although this one stops 3/4 of the way down and then goes round the front, so you protect the whole front of the bike there, whereas on this one you've just got it going down the side, but it goes all the way down and comes out a bit further, so it protects all that plastic on the side there. I mean, this one's still protected, and then you've got the metal belly pan here that is protecting the exhaust pipes. Both bikes use fully adjustable 43mm KYB upside down front forks and rear monoshock. However, the 800 has more of an upright rear monoshock, quite low down as well the way it's mounted, whereas the 900 has it underneath the seat quite high up. And where the 800 adjuster is up here, you can still easily reach it, no problem at all, with the 900 being just here, also very easy to get to. And despite being rather chunky, the swing arms are quite different in design. The brakes are quite different. The 900 uses Bosch switchable ABS and Brembo calipers, whereas the 800 uses Nissan calipers with switchable ABS also. Both have the twin 305mm front discs, but the 900 uses a 265mm rear and the 800 a 240mm rear. In terms of mirrors, the 900 uses the traditional style mounted mirrors, and we'll see how good they are when we're riding, whereas the 800 uses foldable mirrors. Now they are quite stiff, I suppose they have to be able to, there we go, stay in place and not just move about randomly or wobble or distort as you're riding, and we'll see what they're like when we're on the road as well. But they do move quite nicely. You've got 3 different levels. Oh, even 4, look, like that, but you wouldn't ride like that. So, but apparently objects in mirrors are closer than they appear. I've been putting them on mirrors since the beginning of time. Both bikes have 7-inch TFT screens, but where the 900 has the usual landscape version, the 800 has the portrait version. Let's see what it's like when you turn on the 900. Nice Voge symbol and a nice layout of the dash. Very nice indeed. Traction control, as I say, is switchable down here. You've got road use at the moment. Your rev counter along the top, miles per hour here. Your temperature and your fuel gauge on there. Your tyre pressure monitors on both these bikes, and they are noted on here. And your trip mileage and how many miles of fuel you have left, and the temperature in the clock. And lights and stuff along the top. Let's have a look at the 800. The 800 with the traditional key. We'll have to move the handlebars because the cables do seem to go in front. Let's put them behind for a second. So, again, it's a nice looking dash. All the same information, except it's done in a different way, obviously, because it's portrait. But you've got your normal mode here, traction control up there, other stuff up here, all your lights, your temperature and your clock, your gear indicator down here and your miles per hour there, and then your trip and odometer down here. You can also see here whether your ABS is on or off on both wheels, which is also shown on here, although the ABS looks like it can only be turned off on the rear wheel on the 900. Despite the illusion of its size, the 900 comes with a 7-litre fuel tank, whereas the 800 a 24-litre fuel tank. Whereas the 900 does have an adjustable screen, but the 800 doesn't. But the 800 does come with all these extra side plastic bits instead. Size-wise, they are similar. The 800 is 55mm longer than the 900 at 2.38 metres long. It's 25mm narrower at 915mm and 30mm taller at 1.45 metres tall. As well as looking and feeling different, the seat height on the 800 is also higher at 850mm over the 900's 825. There's also a difference in ground clearance with the 900, aimed more at road touring, being 190mm of ground clearance, whereas the 800, being more of a dual sport vehicle, has 220mm of ground clearance. But let's see what it looks like when I sit on them. So first off, I shall get on the 900. Now don't forget, I am 5'10.5" with a 31.5-inch inside leg, seated on here very comfortably. Don't forget, both these bikes have got a centre stand as well as a side stand, which is a bonus. So I'm not flat-footed, but if I lean slightly to the right or to the left, I am flat-footed. I'm on the front of my feet quite happily. The seat feels quite hard, but it does go up a little bit on the tank, so it is gonad protecting. With your legs up, you've got a bit of a bounce on the rear end there. Of course, it is adjustable. I won't be adjusting it for the test rides I do because there's no time for that to go in and out, in and out, in and out. So I shall just keep them as they are and we'll see what that's like. But for now, it feels nice and comfortable. The bounce is pretty good. I've got a nice comfortable feel. The legs are tucked in nicely in the tank here. But yeah, it does feel quite nice indeed. I've got a good reach on the handlebars, but say I'll talk more about that when I'm out on the bike riding. But what about the 800? Well, a very different seat design, and as you sit on it, it does feel a little bit harder. You've got more of a bounce on the back end here than you have on the front, but it does feel very comfortable, and instantly you can feel it is a little bit lower. I'm practically flat-footed here. Again, a good reach on the handlebars. The view is very different, and again, I'll talk more about that when we're riding, but it does also feel quite comfortable. The seat, I think, is a bit narrower, but you've got more of a seat coming up the tank here, so it's much more protecting on the genitalia area. But yeah, pretty pleased with that. USB wise, on the front of here you've got a USB-C and a USB-A in one slot. On the front of the 900 you've got, on the left hand side, a USB-C and a USB-A, and on the right hand side the 12 volt supply thing. Anyway, let's see what they're like putting them on the center stand. Now weight wise, don't forget, that's 238 kilos. This is 213 kilos. That's pretty good for an 800. So, center stand. Nice and easy to get. Yes, very simple. And what about this one? A bit more fiddly to get to the, oh yeah, because of the rear foot peg arm, a bit more fiddly to get to it, but, and you can feel the extra weight when you're doing it. I would say the mounting is in line with the pegs. The mounting is a little bit, no, it's a little bit behind the pegs, so you've got more weight. So that's interesting. The mounting is in line with the pegs on the center stand on the 800, whereas a little bit behind the foot pegs. Only a little bit, maybe an inch and a half, but it seems to make a difference. It feels a little bit weightier as you're putting it on the center stand. But I also want to point out that the rubbers are fixed on these, although they look like they can be removed, but they can also be removed on the 800. But yeah, now on the center stand, let's see what it's like for the rear passenger. So if I'm riding here thusly and I sit on the back, ooh, I was nervous when that happens. Feels quite comfy. Yeah, the seat covers my posterior area, which is quite nice. Yeah, it feels all right. What about on the 800? You've got more of a traditional metal style pegs on the rear. Much more comfortable on the foot pegs for the rider, and on the back, yeah, your legs are much more further up than they are on there. That's definitely got the tourer, and it's definitely a harder seat. You've still got enough seat to cover your bum, but it's definitely harder. Not as soft as the 900. So for 2 up, I would say that's going to be a lot more comfortable. This, for a passenger, I think would get uncomfortable quite quickly, to be fair. Especially with your legs up like this as well, and your legs are not in a natural position. They're more tucked up. But you know, so if you're going on a tour, for now, obviously I haven't ridden them yet, but for now, this one is much more comfortable for 2 up and touring, and that one if you want to have fun on and off-road. Interesting. Now, I do want to point out there that the 800 does have a 25mm higher seat height than the 900. So it just goes to show that the adjustment on that rear suspension seems to make a difference, because I was more flat-footed on the 800 than I was on the 900. As I say, these are not set up for me, and I'm not going to set them up for me because I don't know what they're set at now, and I don't have time to fiddle around with the adjustment. But it just goes to show that you can adjust the suspension depending on your weight, me being 100 kilos of pure muscle. That you can make them a little bit lower than you would. Obviously it affects how you're riding and depends what kind of terrain you're on, but it does happen and you can make it work. So yeah, there you go. Something else that's changed, the 2024 version of the 900 came with the 3-piece luggage included. The 2025 version doesn't. And neither does the 800X Rally. You can get them. Now, if you buy the 3-piece alloy lined luggage with the bike, you get it for £699. If you buy them extra after you've bought the bike, it's £1,399. So I think for 700 quid, it is well worth getting the luggage when you buy the bike. And I don't know anyone that wouldn't, unless of course they just want this style of bike and they're never going to go adventuring anywhere ever. Then don't bother. So then, how much are they? Well, the DS900X is £8,699 on the road with a 2-year parts and labour warranty, whereas the 800 is just £7,199 on the road with a 2-year warranty. £7,199 on the road. That seems like a bit of a bargain, but of course it will all depend on how they ride. But yeah, that's not bad at all. And I think it's aimed more towards sort of the Honda XL 750 Transalp, which is £9,899. That's a lot more money. £7,199 and that's £9,899. And it has less power and less equipment. Let's go and see how they ride. Okay. So, before I go out, let me do a little sound test of them both. First of all, the 800X Rally. There's that nice rasp. It has been warmed up, so. Yeah, that sounds nice. I like that. Now the 900s, have a listen to this one. And then we're going to have a listen to a different one. So, push the key to turn on. And let's have a listen. Okay. It's a lot softer. It's not as quick revving as the 800. Well, it sounds okay, but it's not as raspy as the 800. Okay, so I'm going to take the 800 first. What I do notice is that you've got a rather substantial side stand on here. On the 900, the more traditional little metal stand, but that one is quite a nice chunky cast stand. I like that. Right, okay, let's see how we get on. Okay, mirror wise, I'm going to have them there and there, and we'll see how we get on with that. It's got a nice thumpy sound with that 270-degree crank. Oh, I do like a 270-degree crank. They make a parallel twin that's usually bloomin' awful. Sound rather nice. Oh, listen to that. Okay, right, let's have a look on here. Traction control you can turn off here, up and down the menu. So we've got the bike menu, TPS monitor, upshift note, oh, I'll leave that on. Trip reset information, telephones because they're both phone connected or connectivity, language, miles per hour, kilometers per hour. Oh, to use the app I have to connect. We don't want to do that, so let's have a look, see what we've got here. So music, I can have music if I want to. I don't want music, but okay. And phone call connectivity. So the bike information, I enter on that. Can't really do a huge amount. Mode, let's have a look. Mode, oh here we go, into sport mode you get that arrangement. Okay, so normal and sport. ABS you can turn off if you want to, we'll leave that on. But yeah, oh, that's quite a nice feature. Okay. Oh, I love that sound. Okay, that's pretty good balance. $20 miles an hour. Nice easy gear change even at low speed. So So at 20 miles an hour in third gear, I have absolutely fine riding. Doesn't feel bitty. I am in normal mode, and we will try the difference between normal and sport. Oh, my main beam is on, turn that off. So you've got the main beam switch here, the one that's easy to catch with your glove. Oh, there's a nice bit of pickup. So we've got the indicator switch here, which is like the one I was trying on that Hero Hunk. It's very touch sensitive, so there's not a physical clunk on it. I like a physical clunk on the indicator. This one doesn't have that, so it's like a touch and then touch to turn off, like a rubberized one. See, I've put it on there. Horn is okay. It's got the headlight switch there that's easy to catch with your fingers, but we'll see whether I manage to miss that as I'm riding. Yeah, nearly. Well done. I will try it in normal and sport mode to see what the difference is, but right now it feels quite comfortable. I do feel quite high, and my presence is quite good, I think. Foot peg position feels nice. I've got my legs at sort of 90 degrees. Why have you got a tent box? Are you going camping right now? No. Tent boxes. Hate them. Stupid things. People carry them around all the time for absolutely no reason. Like they're going camping all the time. They probably use it once a year. Mate, why are you doing 23 and a 30? So it feels quite composed at the moment. Sitting here in fourth gear at 30 miles an hour feels absolutely fine. It is quite a blustery day today, so we'll see whether that makes a difference. Obviously I'm quite tall on this bike, so we'll see how that feels when we're out on the open road. Feel as though it's quite easy to just sit here. I mean, the seat comfortability feels okay at the moment. There's my famous word, comfortability. It's the best word in the world. Don't. Okay, good. Alright, decent brakes. They should be. They're Nissan brakes. Oh, I do love that sound. That's got some good pickup. You can pull away quite rapidly. Oh, it dips into corners. Lovely. Oh yeah. Oh wow, that floats and dips positively into a corner really nicely. It's really sort of puts you into the corner and straight back out again. Feels very light and nimble on the corners there. Oh, that's really nice. Doesn't feel weighty on that front end. It doesn't sort of lumber around. It's just shoom, shoom, really positive the way it dips in and dips out of corners. Oh, I like that. Now, as long as this seat turns out to be quite comfy, this should be a decent option. However, I am concerned about that rear seat being not very comfy, so 2 up, I don't think this would be a very good choice. So as we enter into the 60 mile an hour zone at 35 miles an hour, we will see what this is like as we enter the dual carriageway in a minute. I am quite keen to try this out in sport mode as well and see what the difference is between eco and sport, and we'll do that. I say eco, normal and sport. We'll do that on the dual carriageway from like 40 mile an hour to 70, and then from a standing start, and we'll see how that feels. I've got a decent stance on the handlebars. They don't feel too wide, they don't feel narrow. Everything seems very well proportioned. So I love the way this just whips around corners. So simple. Really does feel good.
Feels very light, but not light like it's going to blow me over. It's like very simple to get round a corner. So in the outside lane of the dual carriageway, I am being blown around by the wind. There's a lot of crosswind going on at the moment, but it feels very nicely positioned and very well composed. Good gear change, easy to use clutch. Very capable machine. Nice raspy roar from that engine. Yeah, very well composed, sits nicely. The indicators are simple to use. This touch technology does seem to work quite well. I'm sorry if it's a bit windy, but I am being blasted quite a lot at the moment actually. But that is down to the wind and not the bike. But it can sit here at 70 very composed. So what I'm going to do is slow it down to 40 and accelerate in 4th gear. We'll do it in. Up to 70. Yeah, nice. And then we'll do the same again and we'll stick it in sport mode. Down to 40 in 4th. It feels very similar, to be honest. At that sort of speed it does feel very similar. But what about when we're off around about... Oh yeah, definitely quicker, definitely better in sport mode if you want to give it some. Yeah, definitely. And we'll see what it's like in sport mode on the slow stuff. So we'll take some of the back roads now and see how that fares. It really does whip into a corner so well. These tyres, even though they're sort of knobblies, blocky tyres, they are absolutely fine. So at 40 miles an hour, doesn't feel jolty really in sport mode. Stick it in 6th at 40. If I sort of play with the throttle a bit, it doesn't feel as though it jolts. If I do the same in normal mode, no, pretty much the same, to be honest. So what sport mode gives you is not the joltiness, but you do get the better acceleration out of the corners. Sport mode it is then. Not that normal mode is lacking. I sort of took it too high in the rev range there, got a bit excited. Well, this is great. Visibility out of the mirrors, I've got about 75 to 80%. It's not amazing. Again, I know they're foldable, but you could do with another inch on the stalks. I say it all the time, and not many manufacturers get the mirrors just right. But by the time your arms are up, and I don't have wide arms, by the time the wides are up and on the handlebars, it blocks your view. It's a very pleasing ride. I will see whether the seat gets any less comfortable as we go on. I mean, it still feels okay. Great acceleration. A nice raspy roar from that engine and exhaust setup. Excellent visibility of the dash. Works really well. As I say, I've got a big crosswind, but other than that I'm not really being buffeted about. The screen's doing a good job. It's more my whole body and the bike being blasted from the side rather than headwind buffeting against my helmet, so that's a good thing. It is very simple. It takes the corners really well. It just sort of floats around. Very easy to ride. Floats through the corners, whips from side to side very easily. Yeah, very nice. Very nice indeed. Now, can I criticise this in any way? Mirrors, that's about it really. The foot position feels nice. I'm getting no buzz through the foot pegs, no buzz through the handlebars. Obviously you've got the hand grips here, which will protect my hands from any wind or driving rain, hopefully. But yeah, everything feels very well set up. Good gearing, and it's yeah, it's a pleasant bike, a very pleasant bike indeed. Got a bit carried away there, sorry. That's very easy to get up to speed and beyond. Joyful experience. So I shall just turn it around on the road and see how that works. Oh, good low speed balance. Yes, easy to turn around. Very nice. And off we go. Excellent. So, as I'm sitting here at 30 miles an hour in sport mode in fourth, if I roll off the throttle, it jolts a little bit. If I do the same in normal mode, it's a little bit smoother. It doesn't jolt down so much. So you can feel that it wants to pick up quicker and go a bit more in normal mode, sorry, in sport mode than it does in normal mode. For the sort of half an hour or so I've been riding, the seat feels pretty comfortable to me. So say, I think it would probably be a lot worse for the passenger, and it does feel quite hard, so maybe longer periods of time the seat might get a bit uncomfortable, but for now it's all right. So for short commute journeys it's all right, and if you're going and doing off-roading and on-roading and off-roading and on-roading off-roading, you'll be spending half your time standing up, and then you won't really care what the seat feels like. And other than that, it doesn't feel that bad, to be honest. I suppose it depends how much cushioning you've got. Load speed, balance. I'm doing 5 miles an hour, 4 miles an hour, and it feels absolutely fine. Right, let's get on that 900. Easy to get into neutral as well, love that. So we've got the cruise control on this one, and we will try that out when we're on the dual carriageway, but seated on here, I need to put fuel in. Okay, so we're fueled up. Now let's get going. Key in pocket, ignition on. This is quite a different dash arrangement here. in comparison to that one. Obviously the switch gears are the same, apart from the fact that this is ride by wire and that is cable. You've got the cruise control on here. Other than that, everything else is the same. Looks like the last person left it on high beam as well, so they obviously caught their finger on it. Alright, here we go. It's definitely not as high a revving. Road or sport. That makes a difference. A big difference. Okay, right, that's interesting. Sport mode. Rain. Dull. Road. Yeah, that is very serene. But in sport, that revs a lot higher, a lot quicker. I'm going to leave it in road for now. Rain, I'm not going to bother with. And we'll see what that's like, and then we'll stick it in sport and see what the difference is, just like the other one. Okay, something I noticed instantly, that the seat is as hard as the 800. Like there's sort of a little bit less cushioning, I would say. Even though the seat is wider, there seems to be a little bit less cushioning for me. I can see why that other guy has gone for the extra seat cushioning, because I think it is needed, to be fair. So what's interesting is that this seat feels as though you are more seated on the bike, with this handlebar and tank and everything seems lower than the 800, which all this lot seems to be a little bit higher. Nice Volvo 480 there. And the seat is not as sculpted, the seat is more flat. That's very interesting, that is. I would expect it to be the other way around. I would have thought, being on this, the shape of the seat, that you would feel as though you're more sitting in the bike and everything would be sort of here, but it's not. It's the other way around. The 800 feels a bit more comfortable, and this seat does feel harder. Even though it's wider, it does feel harder. I didn't expect that either. I mean, comfortability wise, at the moment the 800 is a little bit more comfortable for me. I was not expecting that to be the case. So at slow speeds, this feels absolutely fine in road mode. Road mode. I'm going to put it in sport mode and see whether that makes a difference. I'm yet to feel the acceleration in road mode, so I'll wait a second. Where are you going? So what's the point of you being in the outside lane if you're just going to slow down and let everybody else go past you? Yeah, acceleration's pretty good. And if I was to stick that in sport mode now, that's the thing, you've got to take your finger off to get to it. That's a bit awkward. Sport mode. Okay, that's a lot better. Wow. Okay, that was brilliant. That's interesting that, as I say, it's only got 1 more horsepower than the 800, but it does have 10 more pounds-foot of torque, and that seems to make a difference when you stick it in sport mode. It really does. I'm going to put it back in road mode for now. Try to stick it in rain. See if that's really dull. So rain mode does seem to be a little bit, you know, if you're in this pouring rain and you want to take corners gently, then fine, stick it in rain mode. Other than that, road. But I do have to use my left hand because you've got to take your hand off the throttle to get to the mode button, because doing that is a bit of a stretch and you can't keep your finger. I mean, I suppose you could thumb it, but then there's that risk that you instantly pull back a little bit on the throttle. So yeah, I would say the mode button would have been better on this side. Well, there you go. But in road mode it seems okay. As I say, it's nice and comfy. It is nice and composed on the road. Foot pegs at the moment seem nice and cushioning. Not quite as much as that 800. And the grips feel the same, you know. The handlebars feel pretty much the same, although these do feel slightly lower than the 800s do. So as I enter the 40 mile an hour zone, it seems quite composed, and we'll see what it's like when we accelerate up to 60 in road mode. I'll put it in fourth to see what difference that makes. So here we go, up to 60. Oh yeah, that's got some really good pickup. Really good pickup. Traction control flashing away there. But yeah, that picks up really nicely. Be interesting to see the 40 to 70 test from fourth in road mode and sport mode, and see where that extra 10 pounds-foot of torque comes in. So it seems the power initially is a bit more serene in the lower revs. So that's where the sport mode comes in. It gives you all the power right from the off, whereas in road mode it takes it a bit more serenely and then it brings the power on. So that's quite interesting. So now I'm going to stick it in sport mode and see what that's like as we come off that roundabout and accelerate. So go around the roundabout in third. Oh, I can. Oh wow, that really wants to go. I mean, yeah, that's also interesting. Is that okay? Look, let's put it in road mode. Take it down to 40 in fourth and accelerate. Here we go. Ready? Then it picks up. Right, now if I do the same in sport mode, take it down to 40 in fourth in sport mode. Again, it's not a huge amount of difference when you're already riding along. 40 to 70 makes not much difference if you're in sport or road mode. However, initially when you accelerate in sport mode, you've got all the power, go, wah! And then in road mode it winds up and then it goes. So I don't know which is better, because the acceleration in road mode feels smoother. Sport mode seems to give you all of it and then it backs off a little bit. So if you're doing sharp turns and you want to get fast out of corners, sport mode is where it's at. If you want to do fast off roundabouts on dual carriageways, then road mode is where it's at. See, look, short bursts, absolutely perfect in sport mode. But to wind it up in road mode feels smoother. Okay, again, I've got no complaints in either of them. Rain mode I just personally wouldn't bother with, but yeah, I'm going to come the same off this roundabout and accelerate in road, and you'll see what I mean. It's not as rapid, it's not as punchy, it just gets you up there smoother and it winds it on a bit slower, which is not a bad thing. You've still got a decent amount of power, it's just punchier in sport mode. It's very interesting how two similar bikes from the same manufacturer with a similar power and similar CC are actually quite different depending on what you want from them. I mean, yeah, as a touring bike this is ideal, and this would be the better choice I think as a tourer. The 800 a better choice if you want the fun blasting and the off-road capability. They both seem pretty comfortable. See, it doesn't wind the power on as much, but it does when it gets up in the RPMs. It's just not that initial punch. Mirror visibility about 5% better than the 800. You've got a tiny bit extra on the stalks I think, and I've got about 85% to 90% visibility on the mirrors. The screen is adjusted at its top, but yeah, it all seems pretty nice. Now if I was to choose between the two, for me I think it would be the 800X Rally over the 900, simply because it's 25 kilos lighter, and that does make a difference in the corners. Not that this is cumbersome, you can get around corners absolutely fine in this, but with that one you can whip round corners and it feels light and nimble and easy. You've got that power quite happily in sport mode, and it'll take corners really well, it'll come out really well. This one is a lot punchier in sport mode than it is in road mode. Road mode really has to wind it up, and I think it's like it's too lacking in road mode for me. Depends how you, I mean, not when you're already moving, but initially from the off, that initial off, unless of course you open up the throttle and give it some revs before you pull away. But yeah, it's swings and roundabouts, it really is swings and roundabouts. I mean, I prefer the 800 I think mostly because of the lightness and the flickability of it. That's just fantastic. Comfortability wise, I don't think there's a huge amount of difference. If anything, to me the 800 is a bit more comfortable. This had a wider seat, and I think on longer journeys this would be better. To be fair, the 900 would be better on longer journeys, and even though it's still quite a hard seat, it's not as hard as the 800 after a period of time. Up to about half an hour or so, there's not a lot to choose between them. I mean, look at that, in fourth gear up to 60, absolutely fine. Oh, you've got the quick shifter here, let's try that. No clutch. Oh yes, yeah, I love a bit of quick shifting. Down as well, down into fourth, into third. Oh, that is smooth. Oh, I like that a lot. That is really smooth. I love that. Fantastic. What a great quick shifter. Nice positive clunk, and it's not difficult. You're not like, ugh, you're not having to ram it home. That does feel nice. And then down through the gears. Yeah, that feels good. I like that a lot. That's good. No need for a clutch. Although I'd still like to use a clutch. I'm used to it. But yeah. So yeah, on a touring bike I think this is a better choice. The longer you're on this, the more comfortable it becomes. I think that's what it is. You sort of sink into the seat, and initially I say it feels hard, but you sort of sink into it and it doesn't get uncomfortable at any point. Whereas the 800, I can see after a while would start to get uncomfortable. Again, not off-puttingly so, but just more so than this. So they're both great in their own way. If it was my money, I would put my money on the 800X Rally, simply because it is, you know, £1,200–1,400, whatever it is, cheaper. What's 8,699 to 7,199, so 1,500 quid cheaper, and that to me is a lot. You can spend £1,500 on luggage and you know, a more comfortable seat cushioning, and have some change on the 800. But having said that, this is superb for touring. You know, I've spent most of my time sitting here riding one-handed, changing gear, turning corners, and it is a joy. It's seamless. I've got no issues with how this rides at all, other than in road mode it needs a bit more revs when you initially pull away, and in sport mode you don't really want to be pulling away from traffic lights in sport mode. Well, you do, but you know what I mean, not all the time, because it's a touring bike. So I can see where it works. The road and sport works in its own environment. You just have to get used to when to use it. If I was to change anything, it would be to move the mode button from here to this side. Let's try cruise control. Okay, 44 miles an hour. Yeah, absolutely fine. Nice and easy. Very simple. And it just floats. Very nice indeed. Very easy balancing bike. Lovely, absolutely lovely. Okay, let's turn around. Yeah, it's just as simple on this as it is on the 800, no problems. Excellent balance. So I've just come back. I'm now about to go on the 900, but there's another 900 here. Customers turned up on the 900. This one's got the shad boxes on and the aluminium box on the back. It's also got the taller screen, which I think looks fantastic. I like that, the nice darker, taller screen. It's got the covers on there. Okay, that's a style choice, I guess. But also this seat's quite nice. I quite like that, and I'd like to sit on it just to see the difference. I have asked, and it is okay. I'm just going to sit on it and see the difference. Oh, it's a bit grippier. Yeah, a bit grippier. But we'll see how that feels when I'm out on the other one. But at the moment, that's fine. But this one also has the upgraded exhaust on it. So I'm going to have a listen to that in a second and see what the difference is. So we'll start up the standard one and then this one. Okay. Oh, that sounds nice. That's got a nice rasp to it. From this angle,
So there you go, the Voge 900X and the Voge 800X Rally. Both superb bikes, and it depends what you want them for. That's, I think, what you should go for. The 900, more of that touring bike, and this one definitely if you want to have fun off-road and on-road, but not so much for the longer journey. This is probably the better choice for longer journeys, and especially if you're going 2 up. And that's all I've got for this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe and share this video. Click the notification bell for more uploads, and any comments you've got, stick them in the comments section below. Let me know what you think about these. If you have them, let me know what your thoughts are on them. Or if you've test ridden them, let me know what you think. And that's all I've got. So until next time, please ride and drive carefully, but have fun. Bye-bye.